Hi guys. For today, we're going to talk about introduction to directing. Now, before I proceed, first, let me categorically say that I am still learning and evolving as a teacher and as a filmmaker. I have some practical production knowledge and some directing projects under my belt. And, well, as far as I am able, I'm going to share what I have learned from theories, books, and of course from my experiences. And I'm going to share that to you and basically what I've learned along the way. Okay? So, directing for me is a very, well, that is one of my passion being a filmmaker. Of course, from time to time, I get to express myself through films and I get commissions creating video projects, creating writing scripts, etc. So for me, this is not really just a subject to teach, but more of a subject to explore with you guys. Okay, so let's proceed. Stanley Kubrick said that a film is or should be more like music than like fiction. It should be a progression of moods and feelings. The theme, what's behind the emotions, the meaning, that all comes later. A progression of moods and feelings, meaning films derive their meanings by expressing, unearthing human emotions that came from a script. And basically, it was translated by the director, and or somewhere along the way, it is encoded by the audience. Why do we watch movies or why do we watch films? So the traditional answers can be to be entertained or to escape. But to escape what? To be entertained by who? So these are the questions that you need to ponder upon when you watch movies. But sometimes it's just to pass time. It's just in some instance the movies that you watch differ from the mood that you have. And well, it's still the same when you do filmmaking or when you create your own films. Sometimes it is just to pass a subject. Sometimes it is a passion project. And sometimes it's just so that you can be entertained or to pass time. So, but one thing is for sure that you need to learn the basics when you create your own films or when you become or in the process of you becoming a filmmaker. Why do we watch movies? A director should ask this question from time to time. If a filmmaker wants to evolve or improve, he or she must ask this question because one cannot really define what film is and why we watch films or even how we create films. There are a lot of reasons for a lot of situations, and there are a lot of instances where your answers can differ. The next question that I want you to ask yourselves is why do you want to make a movie or why do you want to make movies? So that is a question that you need to answer for yourself. And I want you to answer that question in the assignment box that I'm going to post under this lecture. So, cinema art and you. Now, cinema art or cinema is the great art form of our time. It provides popular entertainment and it is preeminent forum or it is the preeminent forum for ideas and self-expression. Now, before, it was theater that does this function. But because of technology and the use of that technology by artists creating films or movies, in a way, films and movies have become more than entertainment. It became an art form into itself. It became somewhat of a medium that artists can use to express their ideas. The cinema leaps national and cultural barriers as no medium has ever done before. The best films excite hearts and minds as only good art can. Remember that we each have a story to tell. Now it's up to us to tell it and choose a medium or platform on how we tell that story. and film, well, film can be a very fertile avenue to tell that story. So that's the reason why a lot of people pursue filmmaking because they have or they want to tell a story. Learning to direct film is like learning to conduct an orchestra. Most conductors learn an instrument music and then learn to conduct, which means coordinating an ensemble of top-notch musicians. Most who direct get there by mastering a key craft such as screenwriting, cinematography, or editing. Which one you should choose will emerge as you roll up your sleeves. You may do this in film school with fellow students or even outside working with a few committed friends. Okay, so what does this mean? It means that before you actually become a director, you have to master a certain skill. You can be, or you can focus on screenwriting. You can tell the story and then somewhat you translate your stories to films by directing them. Sometimes you can start with cinematography. So you tell your story through the lens. You tell the story through video. Or even as an editor. First, you have to at least master one of these three skills in order for you to somewhat engage in directing a film. And of course, directing is not a personal endeavor. You can direct a film, but you have to collaborate with people, with talented people who share your vision. And most of the time, these are your friends. Now, let's talk about the director. So, who directs? People who direct films come in all human types. Tall, short, fair, dark, introverted, extroverted, loquacious, taciturn, male, female, gay, straight. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the capability and the vision of the director. Doing it well takes inventiveness and tenacity. Getting the best out of a team, having strong ideas about the human condition, and a mountaineering passion for filmmaking's grueling process. Because guys, maybe you have experienced creating a film and you know that creating a film requires a lot of time, requires a lot of effort, a lot of passion. It's a grueling process. And the director is the one who basically captains that process. So what are the responsibilities of a director? A director answers to the producer and is responsible for the details, quality, and meaning of the final film. This requires, of course, writing or working with writers, envisioning the film's scope, purpose, identity, and meaning, finding appropriate locations that advance the dramatic meaning and atmosphere of the film, auditioning and casting actors, assembling a crew. One of the most important things that a director must do is to assemble a crew. So it may be done by a producer or a unit production manager if you have one, but it is very important to further your filmmaking process. Well, a good crew under you. Developing both cast and script through rehearsals, directing the actors and crew during shooting, and then supervising editor and finalization of the project. The director is also involved in promoting the production in festivals and in other circuits. So imagine, these responsibilities fall under the shoulders of a director. So that may be one of the reasons why a director is sort of the one who owns the film or who is recognized as the filmmaker, because of the number of different responsibilities that he or she can have in several different stages of the production. Ideally, a director's personal trait must include the following. A director is broadly knowledgeable in the arts, of course, possessed of a lively and inquiring mind, likes delving and looking for hypothetical links and explanations, is methodical and organized even if outwardly informal and easygoing, able to scrap prior work if assumptions become obsolete. So that's one of the hardest things that a director must do. If it's not working, then you scrap it. You go back to zero or you go back to where you left off. And possessed of endless tenacity when searching out great ideas and performances. The better the directors are able to be articulate and succinct in communication, the better. Makes instinctive judgment and decisions to get the best out of people without being dictatorial. Speak on terms of respectful equality with a range of specialists and understand technicians' problems and co-opt their best efforts. So imagine how taxing a director's life can be on set or during the production process, not just on set, but pre-production, production, and post-production. Imagine these responsibilities fall into one person. That's the reason why a director must always work with people. He always must be in collaboration with other talented people as well. So speaking of collaboration, people think directing must be the ultimate in self-expression. But the cinema earned its preeminent place because it is a collective, not an individualist medium. Making a feature film takes writers, dramatists, actors, and computer image and illusion makers. It takes choreographers, stunt specialists, art directors, scene builders, sound designers, makeup artists, among many others, as well as costumers, musicians, editors, artists, and craftspeople, and every kind of people working together to basically achieve one specific goal, is to tell a story worth telling. Now, each specialist yields a greater part of his or her life to making a contribution. And cinema's strength and appeal come from that collaborative interplay at the core of this process. So, even though a director can be the leader or the point person of everything, but you must understand that to make a film, you have to dance with a number of people. You must basically collaborate. Okay? So, in collaboration, other people must always have an input because they put their lives, their time in a particular film. So, in a way, you share a baby after the post-production process or after the final cut is already produced. As a director, says Christopher Nolan, I am a sort of human lens through which everyone's efforts are focused. A big part of my job is making decisions about how all the great talent that I'm working with bends into a single consciousness. So this is a testament of how collaboration works in film. Of course, a director must always be the leader. So, he or she must have leadership qualities. Now, directing means developing the skill and persuasion to make everybody give their very best to that particular project that you're working on. It involves thinking, feeling, and acting like a director from the first idea through the final cut, which is what this course covers. When shooting is done, the director needs the rigor in the cutting room to work and rework the piece so that its notes merge into a concerto. Directing does not stop after you say, that's a wrap. It doesn't stop in shooting. After shooting, then the director must direct again during the editing process to basically fine-tune, edit, merge everything, and turn these video clips into something beautiful or into something expressive. For all this, you must have to develop the self-knowledge, humility, humor, and dogged persistence that command respect. You will probably acquire these qualities from endless mistakes because a lot of learning in filmmaking is negative learning. As you mature as an artist over the years, you come to understand better and better how to fulfill emotional, psychological, and intellectual needs of the common person. And that is your audience. So, try to remember that at this particular juncture or at this particular time in your life, you're still searching for your muse, so to speak, or you're still searching for your medium. If it so happens that you want film as your medium of self-expression as an artist, then you must develop these particular traits that we have discussed. And believe me, seeing your vision in front of you, projected on a big screen, is one of the most fulfilling things that you can ever feel or that you can ever do. That feeling is actually very addicting. So after the first project, you search for others. And during that search, you get involved with a lot of people, a lot of talent, and in a way, you create sort of your own network of creatives that you want to work with in projects. And that will guide you in evolving as a filmmaker and as a director in the future. So, where do we begin? Well, we begin with a story. You have to have a story to tell. And then we search for people to help us tell that story. First, we have to find that story. Thank you very much for watching and keep safe. This is the end of my short introduction on directing. Always remember to check your BBL for updates and announcements. Now, this ends my lecture for today. Please keep posted for other videos that I'm going to post. Thank you very much and keep safe.